President Obama's Supreme Court nominee, Merrick Garland, was back on the Hill today, continuing to pay visits to senators on both sides of the aisle. And today he met with Democratic Senators Durbin, Feinstein, and Whitehouse. Garland has met with 17 senators so far, 14 Democrats and 3 Republicans. 11 more Republican senators say they are open to meeting with him, but only 2 Republicans say they support holding hearings on Garland's nomination. One is Senator Mark Kirk of Illinois, who is facing a tough re-election in a very blue state, and the other joins me now, Senator Susan Collins of Maine. She met with Judge Garland yesterday and is urging her Republican colleagues to do the same. Senator, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Chuck.
What did you make of Judge Garland? Is he of somebody that belongs in that echelon of nominees, that he is that caliber of a judge?
He's clearly an accomplished juror. He's highly intelligent. I found that he had thought very deeply about the issues facing the court, and we had a very good discussion for more than an hour. I can't say for certain that I would vote for him. That's why we need hearings.
What do you want to hear, hear from the hearing? What do you want to, what is it, obviously hearings are important in this process, but what specifically are some areas that you want to hear him have to answer questions on in a public forum?
He's had 19 years on the D.C. Circuit Court, and during that time, he has authored some controversial decisions that we discussed yesterday. But the issue that is most important to me are his views on the separation of powers. I think that in both President Bush's administration and especially in President Obama's administration, that has gotten out of whack, and that President Obama has used executive orders to circumvent Congress far too often. So if I had to pick one issue that I think really needs to be explored further, that would be it.
What is the appetite in your conference right now for hearings? Without giving away names, I mean, do you feel as if in a secret ballot, a majority of the conference would say, let's have hearings?
I'm not certain about that, but what I am certain of is before the recess 2 weeks ago, there were only 2 of us who were willing to meet with Judge Garland, and now there are something like 14 Republican senators who are willing to sit down with him. I view that as an evolution. That is a good sign, and to me, that is what would customarily be done, and I'm glad that many of my colleagues are willing to down with him.
Are you optimistic or pessimistic that there'll be hearings?
I don't think there will be hearings right off. I'm hoping that as more of my colleagues sit down with Judge Garland, that they will conclude, as I've concluded, that he deserves a hearing. But it's very difficult to predict. I know that feelings run very strong on the other side, and they're sincere as well.
Where are you on this idea of a lame, you know, that whether this should be something that could be taken up in a lame duck? Do you think that's appropriate? Let's not, I mean, obviously it presupposes a lot of things in November, Democratic president, Democratic Senate, things like that. But forget that. Just philosophically, would you be comfortable with having the lame duck deal with a Supreme Court vacancy?
I haven't given that a lot of thought, but what I have thought a lot about is the irony that if a Democrat were elected president, I think the chances are that he or she would choose a nominee that would be to the left of Judge Garland. And that would certainly be ironic if that ends up happening. That might be the case that would lead to the lame duck scenario. It is my understanding, however, that the Republican leader has ruled that option out. So I don't know how likely that is.
All right, let me just ask you very quickly on, I know your favorite topic because you were on here last time when I asked you about it, and you love answering this question. Are you going to be able to support Donald Trump if he's the nominee?
I knew that was coming. Just knew it.
I might as well update our files, right?
Well, as I said, my heart belonged to Jeb Bush, and he obviously didn't prevail. I campaigned hard for him in New Hampshire, and I'm not going to make any more endorsements. I'll just see what happens at the convention and who the nominee turns out to be. I think there are going to be a lot of twists and turns on the road ahead.
Well, I think so, too. Philosophically, are you comfortable with the idea that the convention could nominate somebody who did not get the most votes?
Certainly, if someone goes into the convention having the magic number of delegates that are needed, there should be no attempt to overturn that. But right now, it is such an uncertain, unpredictable situation that it may well be that that does not occur, in which case we may be facing an open convention scenario after the first vote. But I think it's important that everyone follow the rules.
All right. Senator Susan Collins, Republican from Maine. See, it wasn't too bad making you answer that question one more time. I appreciate it.